Hello and welcome to tonight's video as we go over meta dependence in the teams that are or are not meta dependent. You're going to find that, in my opinion, there are only a couple teams that we could say are not meta dependent based on their games this season and lately. And then why other top teams may be meta dependent, in my opinion. Obviously, this video is coming out quite later than I would like, but it is here or there. So we're going to start with the three teams that I believe are not meta dependent. That, regardless of meta, I expect them to be very, very competitive and at the top of their game. They include BLG, Gen.g, and G2. Not dependent. And you're going to say, G2, are you implying that G2 are a top three team? No. I'm implying that regardless of meta, I expect G2 to perform at a high level, at their highest level, that they're very consistent regardless of meta. BLG is similar boat Gen.g. You look at BLG, you could argue maybe Ben wouldn't be great on tanks, but I think he can do the job well enough to keep BLG at a high level of play. Sean has shown the ability to play both facilitators and carries, and if Wei goes in there, Wei can do both as well. Knight, he can play everything but Azir, but luckily a meta is not defined by one champion. It does harm you a bit, but it does not define it. And then the bot lane duo of Alkanon, I think they're capable of high and low resource. Then we look at Gen.g. Keen has played everything over his career, Canyon as well. Chovy, better as a carry, but showed as a facilitator in 2023. He can play at a high level. Pays and Lehens can do both also. And I believe that they can get the job done. And then G2, they can play pretty much anything and win the LEC and be a top 8 team at an international event, which in turn means that they are not meta dependent. If the meta is bot lane focused, I think G2 perform just as well as they would in a top lane centric meta, mid lane meta, whatever the hell you want to say. I think it does not make a difference. Now, those that are dependent, let's talk about it for a second. So, JDG, T1, KT are, let's see, HLE, Taz are meta dependent. And those are like the top dogs, right? These are the top teams that everyone's talking about. Well, KT maybe not, but KT are a good example along with T1. And you could argue, I mean, DK are higher up in the standings, but DK aren't as meta dependent as these guys are. So, JDG, T1, KT, all three have lower, like more so non-carry mids. I mean, let's look at it this way. So Yagao, in my opinion, I don't like him as high resource. JDG then have Flandre and Sheer. Regardless, depending on meta, you can put either one there. Kanavi is better as a carry than a facilitator, but still is one of the best in the world, if not the best. So, with that in mind, the way it works with Yagao is the fact that JDG probably are better off with Kanavi as a carry because Yagao is not necessarily that guy that I believe can have 24% of the gold and be a tier 2 carry on a world championship level team. Now, keep in mind, meta does become a factor. If it becomes a facilitator-oriented meta in the mid lane where it's more playmaker-centric, we think of last year with the anti-meta, etc., there's a world, right? But otherwise, I would say that JDG are a little meta dependent in the middle of the rift. Now, T1, very meta dependent. Zeus is a high resource top laner at his best. In the bot lane duo, especially Guma, is better suited as a weak side player to offset Zeus. And maybe that's not fair to Guma to say because Zeus is so dependent that it causes Guma to have to be weak side all the time, but that's a thing. And then not only that, Owner, in my opinion, is not a heavy carry like a Kanavi. And then you got Faker, who is a facilitator. Now, last year, T1 won Worlds because they were a meta-dependent team, and the meta fit them, and they were able to do the job well. So that's the thing. KT, BDD, of course, very playmaker-centric, not somebody you want with high resource. Deft, same boat, a player that is a weak side king at this point. Top side of the rift with Perfect and Pioshik. I mean, Pioshik is a carry at his best, but Perfect, I mean, jury's still out on Perfect for me. Then we have HLE and Top Esports, both very similar, except, well, no, actually, they're very similar. Extremely similar, actually. So, top lane, Doran and 369, both very good weak side top laners. Both can team fight at a high level, and both have not won Worlds. Both junglers. Now, Tian's won Worlds, but Tian and Peanut I've considered to be pretty close over their careers. More as facilitators, but Tian has shown the ability to carry this season a little better than Peanut has. However, both are very similar, and they're alongside two mid laners that are best on carries, Cream and Zeka. If it's a playmaker mid-meta, I don't expect a jungler to help out with that and offset that resource discrepancy, if you will, in which case both are kind of dependent on a mid lane meta that allows their players to be carries. Bot lane duos, both are excellent, get the job done at a high level, high resource. Bot laners that also could play low resource as well, they're just very good players. So these two teams are very close in terms of similarities in that regard. You know, like, it's hard to really think about a team like AL. You know, anyone's legend is definitely a squad that, you know, Ali, I think, can kind of do everything up in top lane. Krako, I don't know. I guess so many years of Krako struggling, it's hard to really have faith in him. Shanks can do anything. And the bot lane duo probably can as well. It's just the top side of the rift that leaves a little bit to be desired. LNG should be able to do everything theoretically. Jungle, not as great of a carry in the case of Weiwei. Nip, Aki, same boat, similar to LNG. And the bot lane duo, not as strong as LNG's. LNG more so benefiting from a Kaisa meta. Nip from a Senna meta. Weibo, theoretically, should not be a... well, no, they are, for sure. Xiaohu is... I should have included Weibo in this group. Xiaohu is a facilitator at his strongest. Tarzan also in the bot lane duo of Light and Crisp, kind of need to offset that resource gap. And now the other like Western teams we're not even including on here because it doesn't really matter. Regardless of meta, they're not going to be in this group. Really. You say, oh, well, TL. Okay, whatever, buddy. Whatever. But, yeah, just a quick video about meta dependence and how I view things right now. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.